This is Mike, and we're looking at WTI crude, ticker symbol US oil. And this is my third take on making this video. That's why I got a bunch of lines everywhere. Um, every time I recorded it, I kept coming up with new ideas, more information, and I just could not have the video without it. So I thought I'd start again each time. So hopefully this time, third time lucky, we get it right. And by the way, each video was going for like 20 minutes, and I just couldn't help because there's so much information in this chart that I have to put it out there. Okay, let's start with the basics. So obviously I've turned log scale off. That's why it's all crumbled up into a bunch of waves. But I just want to say one thing. Wave one was pretty long. This can only be wave two. So sorry, I was doing a bunch of stuff here and um yeah, sorry. Wave C. I'll get to D. I'll talk about D because that's where the idea came in. All right, so this is the latest interpretation using AriasWave for what this structure is. It's a wave two, and wave two hasn't finished yet. In my opinion, I think we're going to see prices go back down again, and there's a reason for that, but it's not the main reason. So, okay, let's have a look at the log scale. If you turn that back on, you remember 2020 crash? It went negative, right? Well, here it goes to 0.01, but apparently it went negative due to obviously there's associated costs with shipping and storage for oil. So it didn't exactly go negative, but for some reason it did. I mean, zero is zero, right? Anyway, so not the point. The point is that wave one was also fairly long, a fairly large wave. Now, don't really pay attention to the dinosaur. He wasn't around then. 1862 to 1958, in this period of time, I think there's something wrong with this data, or look, it's best effort. Thank you, TradingView, for providing your data, right? Now, wave one probably took a long time to unravel, like a long time. When I say long time, I mean like it could have been a type 1 week 5 wave move, but we can't see what happened before, right? And I'm pretty sure it was a wave one because wave two is the only wave that comes back down to zero before wave three starts, right? Anything apart from that, it doesn't make sense. Just look at Bitcoin, for example, right? Bitcoin in 2010 or something like that, it went back to zero, right? Basically, that would have been a wave two as well. Just for argument's sakes, look at it like that. Now, the waves are the same on every chart, right? AriasWave clearly is aware of that. The waves are the same on every chart, whether it's coffee or oil or beans or currency or stocks, it doesn't matter. The point is the waves are always the same. So oil was discovered in 600 BC by the Chinese. They used to transport it in pipelines made from bamboo. Yes, I'm reading from Google. But the new oil economy started 1859, 1901. So obviously there was some kind of trade with oil in the beginning. So it's not really that new. It's just that obviously the new oil economy set the stage for you know the new world, capitalism and trade and everything. It drives the whole economy, right? Oil is important. So looking at it from this perspective, and obviously we've got bad data here, but that's fine because I've got enough evidence here to suggest that wave two occurred. Wave two, I don't think wave two has ended yet. All right. And I want to try and explain that part. This is the part that is important. So I'm going to turn log scale off again just so I can show you this. Now, I believe this was A and B, right? The subdivisions of this move in here, they're not a full correction. So therefore, wave B is just an expanded type 2 zigzag, right? If you don't know what that means, well, then you need to learn AriasWave. It's the best way to look at the markets. Just saying. Elliott wave is old school. There was no computers back then. Really bad observations of the market. What is a week 5 wave move for for AriasWave is a triple zigzag in Elliott wave, and I think they got it wrong. But anyway, they made money off it, or they're still making money off it. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that we've seen A, B, and C. C wave was a brutal wave, but D wave is probably going to be as brutal, probably more brutal. But what comes after that's going to be even worse in terms of price movement. I don't mean worse. Well, it can be looked at in many ways. For traders, who cares, right? It's you can make money, trade it. Now, next time this sort of thing happens, I'm not going to miss it. And there's a reason why I think it will happen again. Right? So, okay. So now we know that we've got to look at this with log scale turned on. So if this is wave D, just ignore wave A for a moment. We know that if we turn log scale on, wave A is really long. So just ignore that for just a moment and hear me out. So we have wave A, we have wave B expanded to the upside, right? It might look like B is really long compared to A, except remember we turned off log scale, okay? We have a weak wave C, which is in progress. It's not quite finished yet. According to my analysis, we have another leg lower. All right, I'll go into that towards the end of the video. Now, what I believe is going to happen here is that we're going to see a D wave. Okay, I made this a bit bigger in my second attempt to highlight a point, but I'll keep it small for now because of my revelation. Right now, I believe we're in a D wave, right? And I believe that that D wave is going to crash lower again. I think it's going to crash. It might not go all the way to zero this time, but I think it's going to crash like to $20 or something, right? Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. I know that there is a gap somewhere in here. I can't remember exactly where it is. I think it was around $20. There is a gap in the first wave A, okay? Now, markets would tend to come back to fill that gap. But also it fits with the idea of a D wave because of the length of the A wave. It has to be replicated again, and it will be. I believe it will be replicated again, right? Now, when I say replicated again, let me explain. Let's turn on log scale for a moment, okay? Let's go to the wave that went all the way down to zero, right? Because I'll get to that in a sec. So let's measure the wave that went to zero, wave C, right? Let's just take a measurement of that using my little trick tactic that I have, where I line up this line here on the side under the heart with right there. Okay, it's a bit smaller, bit smaller. Yeah, it's about right. So basically, we need to see a wave that is about the length at $20 roughly. Let's mark out $20. Now you can look for that gap. If you look closely at the data, you'll see the gap on the wave A, right? So the wave A gap, now this is probably not going to be right. I think it'll go lower. Hang on, let me check. Let me see if I can find the gap. Well, the gap is actually around there, isn't it? Well, the gap is there. Yeah. Well, obviously the whole thing is a gap here. How much of that gap will it fill up if the gap started at zero? Now you think about that for a second, right? That seems pretty crazy. I don't know the answer to that. But let's just say it uses the gap as support, which is not uncommon, by the way. And let's take the gap measurement and put a cap on it. Okay, that's not too bad. The gap measurement with a cap on it, there is about $100, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah, that's right, $100. All right. So what I believe is going to happen is that we will see a D. Now, mind you, this is not a measurement of time here. I don't know how long the D wave is going to take, right? Now, this is just my own analysis. It's nothing is 100% in this game, right? I believe the E wave will at least come down to $6.68, for example, right? And then we're going to see a move similar to that bounce, which is $100 here, but it has to go higher because it has to make a new high. So in that case, it will be anywhere above the previous high 130. It might even just go above it. I believe that sort of thing is possible for wave D, right? For wave D, all right? So wave B will finish, right? Hang on, let's see. That's D. Sorry, wave B will end down here. This will be wave C in brackets. Okay. So yeah, it probably won't close the whole gap because it's a big gap. And using what I've got here with data, I do believe that will happen, and that will be D, and then we'll see another 5 wave crash. Where that goes, nobody knows. Okay. Now, the reason why I think this is possible is if you look at my Dow Jones idea, I'll link it below. Ever wondered what the bigger picture means? That idea spells out series of 5 wave moves that are coming, right? And this is all based on AriasWave. You don't have to believe it. You don't even have to care about this channel. You can go watch Magic Poop Cannon. He's probably talking about how Bitcoin's going to go to the moon probably right now. Okay, so yeah, go check that out. If you don't care, that's fine. I don't care either. Now, the point here is that this is my opinion, um, but I do believe that after we top out on the Dow Jones this time around, we are going to see this type of thing happen. And then we're going to see another bounce, another reaction, followed by another reaction for E. So it's C. So it's E for B, right? And then C for D, and then E for 2, right? So that'll complete the correction since 2008. And then we'll see parabolic inflation, right? Wave 3, okay? I'm not doing this justice with that little line I just drew, by the way. Wave 3 is probably going to eclipse what you've seen from the lows. Probably going to make it look like child's play, all right? Just picture what happened to Bitcoin in 2010, I think it was, when it hit zero. What happened after that? Now, this is why I believe cryptos in the future are going to be worth like Bitcoin in the millions, easy. It's called hyperinflation, right? You keep stimulating and printing like they won't stop, trust me. They can tell you they're going to stop, but they ain't going to stop. They'll stop it for a little while. They'll raise rates, but then they'll do it all over again. But during that whole time, you're devaluing the dollar because you can't just you can't pull the rug out completely from under the under people because you'll crash the whole economy, right? which is kind of what's happening a little bit these days, but the pain has to be felt. Eventually, they'll get the balance right and inflation will go berserk. And yeah, there'll be more money. Will oil really be worth, in the future 10,000 or whatever? Sure. But how much money will be flooding through the system, right? Like, how much will it cost you to buy a loaf of bread? Like a wheelbarrow full of money? Wait, that's Venezuela. What about Zimbabwe? $1 trillion note. This stuff isn't rocket science. It's inevitable, right? It's Milton Friedman always warned about it. It's true. It's inflation, right? It's money and inflation. If you ever haven't seen that video, I suggest you watch it. It's highly informative. And who's in charge of that? Central banks, right? Look, I'm not here to give you a history lesson. I've already gone for way too long. I said that I'd tell you what's going on at the small degree. I'll do it. So, okay, so 15-minute, too small, 1 hour, mm, too small, 4 hour. All right, this chart is crazy. All right, so the C wave down is a type 1 week 5 wave move. We have zigzag wave 1, we have wave 2, we have a wave 3 zigzag here, right? The wave C of that wave was a weak move. That's why there's overlap between waves 1 and 2. Sorry, 1, 2, and 4. So that's 3. Wave 3 can't be the shortest, right? Because wave 1 is the longest, right? So therefore, wave 5 can't be longer than. Oh, hang on a minute. What have I done? Wait, does that mean that wave? Okay, my bad. That's incorrect. That is incorrect. I can't believe I didn't pick up on that. Right. So I think C wave is done and wave 5 is shorter. Okay, cool. I will now call this a bottom for oil. Okay. I'll call it a bottom because that can't be longer than wave 3 because wave 3 is already shorter than wave 1. So yeah, I'm calling the bottom of oil here at $70, right? That's a nice, neat number, isn't it? Great. So 5A, B, C, D, E potentially here. On a quick glance, which I might get into a bit on another video when I'm not running out of time, we could be looking at a long here, potentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has to be, otherwise it's A, B, C. I don't think so. Yeah, so A, B, C. Either D's done or it's in progress because that's a weird D. Yeah. I'll make another video on this, but I think oil has bottomed no matter how you look at it. I think the low was $70. And I think that low was made in 12th of December 2022. Time will tell, but I don't normally like doing predictions at the end of lengthy, bigger picture videos, but that one just popped out at me. That really just popped out. So yeah, hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank